Hello everyone, I'm Sakshi and today we'll be discussing about the zoology section for part test 2. So I'm a second year physiotherapy student and I hope to make the explanation for this section as easy as it can be for all of you all. So let's get into the video. Also, there are certain questions mentioned here which will not be directly mentioned in the NCERT but are essential for conceptual understanding and may be present in the older version of NCERTs, right? So the question can be asked or a similar concept based on it can be asked. Since these are part tests, we are aiming here at MEMONEET to focus on a little bit extra edge knowledge while focusing as much as possible on the NCERT as well. So all of our full tests will be focusing on the NCERT, but the part test may focus slightly on other topics which are surrounded and related to the NCERT. So let's begin. So question number 151. It states in which of the following the genus name, two characters in the class of phylum are correctly paired. So the answer for this question is answer number 3. That is Pteropus. Pteropus, as we correctly know, belongs to the which phylum, which class? Can anyone tell? Yeah, so it belongs to class Mammalia, right? So now class Mammalia refers to mammals. We as humans are also mammals, so we can relate the characteristics of mammals compared to us. Since the other four options, for example, during the paper, you do not remember which option belongs to which class, which phylum. You can't relate to the characteristics. Always look out for the option which you know the general characteristics of. For example, if you know that Pteropus is a mammal, but you do not remember the characteristics of mammals, but you obviously know the characteristics of a human, right? So you can relate and answer the following question relating to that. Because if you leave the question, the chances of you losing marks are more, right? As compared to you can answer the question if you have remote knowledge of the topic. So we see that Pteropus belongs to the class Mammalia. Mammalia meaning humans as well. So we can see that humans are also covered with hair. Similarly, the first option states that Pteropus are covered with golden hair, which are present over the head, neck, and shoulders. So this is true as one characteristic. The viviparous. Viviparous and oviparous are two forms, meaning that viviparous give birth to young ones and oviparous lay eggs. So in mammals, the only mammal that lays eggs will be a platypus, and viviparous is giving birth to young ones, just like humans. So Pteropus does that, which makes it the second correct characteristic. And third is obviously it belongs to Mammalia, right? Which we already knew. Hence, third is the correct option. Moving to the next question. Select the correct option with respect to aves. So aves belongs to what? Aves meaning birds, right? So the answer for this is option number 1. So aves belongs to which class or which phylum? So class aves is a class, right? So aves belongs to a class which has the following characteristics. We can see the first option is that endoskeleton is fully ossified. That is, it has bones, right? It has become bony. It's not fibrous. It's not a tissue. It has become bony. And the long bones are hollow with air cavities. That is, they are pneumatic. Does this option seem correct? Yes, obviously it does because since okay, so the bones of humans are also ossified, right? And the bones of birds are also ossified. Then why can't humans fly? Is what you must be wondering. Humans cannot fly because our bones do not have hollow cavities, whereas birds have hollow cavities which are pneumatic, hence allowing them to fly. Other options we can check for are the heart is usually three chambers. So no, the heart for aves is not three chambered. Who has a three chambered heart? Reptiles have a three chambered heart. Though crocodiles have a four chambered heart, even though they are reptiles. Moving on to the next option, which is they have two pairs of limbs. So no, birds do not have two pairs of limbs. Mammals have two pairs of limbs. And they are cold-blooded. So no, who are cold-blooded? Amphibia are cold-blooded. Chondrichthyes or stichthyes are cold-blooded. So yeah, moving on to the next question, which is 153. Cyclostomes have dash and dash mouth without dash. So cyclostomes belongs to Agnatha. Agnatha meaning A meaning without jaws. Gnatha A meaning without. Gnatha meaning without jaws. So cyclostomes are without jaws. If they do not have jaws, means they will obviously have to suck, right? So option 3 and 4 may seem correct. Now they are without what? Are they without lips or are they without jaws? No, they are present without jaws and they have a circular mouth. So since you're performing a sucking action, when you suck through a straw, your mouth becomes oval shaped, circular O shaped, right? Not oval, it becomes an O shaped. Hence, it becomes sucking, circular, and without jaws. That's the correct answer. Option number 4. Moving to the next question, which is the following structures in Ferritima? Ferritima meaning earthworm is correctly matched. So we know that the earthworm has what, or the body of earthworm shows a pattern of segmentation, which is known as metameric segmentism. And this is known as metamerism, right? And earthworms also have an organ known as typhlosoal or typhlosole, which does what? It helps to store extra nutrients. Hence, the correct answer is option number 4. Moving to 155th question. A jawless fish. Jawless meaning it is a cyclostoma belonging to Ignatha. So, which lays eggs in fresh water. So, it is freshwater laying. And whose amacosids larvae after metamorphosis return to the ocean, right? So, now we can see that who is the correct answer for this question? It is the second option, which is petromyzin. So petromyzin belongs to class Cyclostoma in Chordata phylum, right? And it is jawless, belonging to Cyclostoma, so we know it's jawless, and it is a freshwater fish. Hence, the answer is petromyzin. Moving on to the next question. It's an assertion and reasoning question. So it belongs to cockroach section. So the assertion states that cockroaches are brightly colored insects found in tropical regions. And the reasoning for the same is brightly colored cockroaches are more likely to be pests and vectors of diseases compared to their brown or black counterparts. So the answer for this question is answer number 3, which is the assertion and reason. Both are incorrect. So the assertion is incorrect. Why? Because cockroaches are typically brown or black. They are not brightly colored, right? Although brightly colored ones have been reported in the tropical region. Okay. So cockroaches are not brightly colored insects. They are typically brown or black, but bright ones are also present. So this assertioning stating that cockroaches are bright colored insects is false, because not all cockroaches are bright colored insects. And then what? The reason is incorrect because there is no evidence to suggest that brightly colored cockroaches are more likely to be like pests or disease vectors. Cockroaches of any color will impose a threat on humans and hygiene. Okay. This is answer number 3, where the assertion and reasoning both are incorrect. For question number 157, okay, 157. So which of the following is incorrectly matched? Now, this question is not a direct NCERT line, but it has a conceptual understanding behind it. So even if you couldn't answer this question, it's okay, but just keep in mind the slight explanation behind it. So basically, the different types of tissues are mentioned here, which is loose dense tissue, dense regular connective tissue, loose connective tissue, dense irregular connective tissue. So we can see that it is regular and irregular tissue and connective tissue, right? So connective tissue is irregular, connective tissue is regular, and then it's loose and it's dense. So here, loose connective tissue have what? Okay, now what does a tissue have? It has cells and it has fibers. So loose connective tissue has cells and fibers loosely arranged in a semi-fluid ground substance. Fibers and fibroblasts are compactly packed in the dense connective tissue. So we can clearly see that connective tissue is loose and it's dense, which means the structures present in the connective tissue may be loosely packed or they may be densely packed. Next is orientation of the fiber show regular or irregular pattern. So they are known as dense regular or dense irregular, right? In the dense regular connective tissue, the collagen fibers are present in rows. In dense irregular, they are oriented differently. So we can see basically in this question is that connective tissue are classified into 2 types, meaning loose and dense. Loose means the structures inside it are arranged loosely. Dense means they are arranged compactly or closely, right? Now in dense connective tissue, we have 2 types, which is regular and irregular. Regular meaning dense connective tissue is that all the collagen fibers are arranged in a regular pattern. In irregular means they are arranged haphazard. So the answer for this is first one, which is some cells in loose connective tissue, loose dense tissue. Some cells and fibers are loosely arranged and some are compactly packed. No, all of them are loosely arranged. Okay. So that's why 157 answer is 1. In question number 158, it's again about cockroaches. The answer for this is option number 3. So it states both statement 1 and 2 are true. So in cockroaches, the abdomen in males and female both has 10 segments, right? Right. Now, males have what? They have thread-like anal styles. Female do not have anal styles. So, abdomen in both males and females have 10 segments. And it's about anal styles. Also, the explanation here has some other extra points relating to cockroach, which you may need to keep in mind. So just read through the explanation once. It does not relate to the question, so I'm not explaining it in detail. Moving to the next question. The frog never drinks water, but, okay. So we know frogs don't drink water. Did we know that? How did we know that? It does not drink water because it absorbs it through its skin. So frogs stay in land also and in water also, right? So it can absorb water through its skin. So the answer for 159th question is answer number 2. For 160, given below are statements, which of the following assertion and reasoning we need to state? So assertion is frogs can live on both land and water. We stated that because they are amphibians, they live in both land and water. And what is the reason for this? So basically, in water, skin acts as a respiratory organ, and on land, the buccal cavity and the lungs act as a respiratory organ. Is this reasoning correct for the assertion stated? Yes. So basically, the answer for this is answer number 3, which is reason is correct. And assertion is also correct, and they are linked to each other. They're the correct explanation for each other. So when the frog is on land, when the frog is in water, what happens? When the frog is on land, what happens is that the skin of the frog acts as uh, the skin of the frog does not act as a respiratory organ, but the buccal cavity and the lungs act as respiratory organs. But when frog goes into the water, the skin acts as a respiratory organ. Hence, the frog will be able to survive on both land and water because they can breathe on both land and water pretty easily. Due to the two different acting organs at two different locations. Then moving on to question number 161. 161, the answer is 1. So basically, it's NCERT information. The values need to be remembered as it is. So 161, the answer is 1, which is A2. A2 stating that nucleic acids are to question number 162, which of the following is incorrectly matched. So the first is proteins have proteinaceous bonds. Carbohydrates and glycosidic bonds, nucleic acid have phosphodiester bonds, fats have hydrogen bonds. So as we are reading during the anxiety that we have during the paper, we'll assume that proteins have proteinaceous bonds. That's correct. It's not. There is nothing like proteinaceous bonds. There are no proteinaceous bonds ever. There is no term like that. It does not exist. So the correct answer is, which is incorrect, is 162's answer is 1, which is proteins have proteinaceous bonds. They are incorrectly mentioned. Moving to 163, which is the heterocyclic compounds in nucleic acids and nitrogenous bases. Name these 4. They are substituted purines and the rest are pyrimidines. So which of them are substituted purines? Where basically there are 2 nucleic acids, right? Types of nucleic acids, purines and pyrimidines. So in purines, we have adenine, guanine, uracil, cytosine, and thymine, right? ATGC, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. Now, what if them are substituted purines? Adenine and guanine are substituted purines, while the rest are substituted pyrimidines, right? So we have nucleic acids, which have ATGCU, and which of them are purines? Which of them are pyrimidines? Purines are adenine and guanine, and the pyrimidines are thymine and cytosine. So the answer is the 4th option. Then moving on to 164, adult hemoglobin possesses quaternary structure. Its subunits are, okay. Quaternary meaning quarter. We know that 1 quarter means 4 parts. So quaternary is a 4-parted structure, right? So as you can see that the answer mentioned here is wrong. It cannot have 1 alpha and 3 beta subunits, as clearly we know that there are 2 alpha and 2 beta subunits. So please change the answer. The answer to this question will be 2 alpha and 2 beta subunits, which is the first option, correct? Next option being 165, which is a non-proteinaceous enzyme is. So a ribosome or RNA enzyme that catalyzes a chemical reaction in a similar way to that of protein enzyme. Right, they are found in ribosome and also known as catalytic RNA. Okay, so the answer for is ribozyme. Ribozyme, which is ribonucleic acid enzyme, right? So that's the answer. Then for 166 question, which is the correct statement. That is option number 2 in this case they've mentioned. So let's see the option. So they are saying intrapulmonary pressure is lower than the atmospheric pressure during inspiration. Okay. So we should know basic rule of pressure or transfer of pressure or exchange of anything due to pressure changes is what? Is that everything flows from a high pressure region to a low pressure region, right? High pressure region to a low pressure region. So if we want to inhale air, we want to inspire, right? So what will we do? Air needs to go inside our lungs, for which it needs to be higher outside so that air goes from high pressure to a low pressure region. So intrapulmonary, meaning pressure inside the lungs, is lower than the atmospheric pressure during inspiration. Atmospheric pressure is the pressure present outside. Intrapulmonary is the pressure inside our body, inside our lungs. Since the pressure outside is higher and the pressure inside is lower, air flows from higher pressure to low pressure. Hence, making statement number 2 correct. Moving to 167th question. Okay. Which of the following gas changes in blood would first lead to the urge to breathe? So the answer for this is the fourth option as mentioned over here, which is raising CO2 concentration. Okay. So now when we are holding our breath, there's no exchange, right? So carbon dioxide is already present inside our blood and no new oxygen is coming inside. So since usually what happens, there's exchange of gases. So oxygen comes in, carbon dioxide goes out. This process keeps on occurring. But now since new oxygen is not coming inside, so the level of carbon dioxide in the body increases. So excess carbon dioxide mainly accumulates in the respiratory center of the brain. It increases the inspiratory and expiratory signals on the respiratory muscles. Oxygen does not have a significant direct effect on respiratory center of the brain in controlling the respiration. So basically what we would think as a layman would be that oxygen, due to the decreased oxygen concentration, we are not able to breathe or we're having the urge to breathe. But it's not because of decreased oxygen, it's because of increased carbon dioxide concentration. So we can remember that anything in life that is goes in excess is bad. So, and if we have a little less of something, it's not going to make much of a difference as harmful it would be if it would be much in excess, right? So, we can think of it as this is a really philosophical way of explaining it, but we can think that since we have a little lesser oxygen, it's not causing any harm to us. We are able to manage, but since the level of carbon dioxide is increasing, which is its excess, we are not able to manage with it. So, we'll feel the urge to breathe. Moving on to 168, which is true about RBCs in humans. They carry about 20 to 25% of CO2. Is it correct? Do they carry no CO2 at all? Is that correct? No. So moving to the answer is answer 1, which is they carry about 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide. So we know that blood is the medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide both. Does it transport directly in the blood, like in the liquid? No, oxygen and carbon dioxide are transported with the help of RBCs. Okay. Next question being, the first step in urine formation is what? It is a filtration of blood. This is carried out by what and is called what? So that's the question. The answer is 3, as mentioned here. First step is filtration of blood, which is carried out by glomerulus and is called as glomerular filtration. Obviously, if we know that filtration is carried out by glomerulus, we'll obviously going to call it glomerular filtration, right? Yeah, so let's move on to question number 170. GFR in a healthy individual is. So GFR stands for glomerular filtration rate. The answer mentioned here is option number 3, which is 125 milliliter per minute, which is correct. It's an NCERT statement. The values, all values need to be learned as mentioned in the NCERT. Question number 171. Excess secretion of growth hormone in adults causes what? Okay. So if an adult, we would consider that an adult has grown, right? So something that has already grown, if there's more growth occurring in it, that is, it has a growth spurt. So, but that is after the reproductive period. If a growth spurt occurs, it is known as acromegaly, right? So, production of growth hormone causes excessive growth in children. This is known as gigantism. So, if a child has excess of growth hormone, we call the child to be a giant. That is, we don't call it to be a child. It's known as gigantism. But if an adult who is already tall enough or who's already grown and has an excess secretion of growth hormone, then it is known as a condition called acromegaly. Excessive growth hormone is secreted in which cases? No one's going to come and give you extra growth hormone, right? So it's always caused due to a benign tumor of the pituitary gland, which causes excess secretion of each and every hormone secreted by the pituitary gland. So we need to say that active absorption of sodium occurs in which part of the nephron. So we know that from the Bowman's capsule, that is the glomerulus, and other structures which form the Bowman's capsule. So the glomerulus forms the glomerular filtrate, which enters the PCT, right? Now from the PCT, it passes to the leukophilin and goes to the DCT, and then it goes to the collecting duct, collecting tubules, right? So now, when it enters the PCT, absorption of selected materials take place from the filtrate into the blood of the peritubular capillaries or vasa recta. This is known as tubular reabsorption. So the answer for this case, and during tubular absorption, different substances are absorbed in different parts of the nephron. So the answer for this is PCT. That in PCT, the sodium is reabsorbed to be specific. So we need to see from question number 173. Sliding filament theory can be best explained as what? Since we know it's sliding filament. Filament in this case are what? Actin and myosin. Sliding means they both slide on each other, right? So none of them are getting shortened here. We would feel that since this is being overlapped, since this, the lower one is overlapped by the upper one, we would feel that this is shortening in length, right? It's not actually shortening in length. They just slide past each other. Hence the correct answer is option number 1. Yeah, the next question that we'll do is question number 174, which states, match the following joints with the bones involved. So we have gliding joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, saddle joint. Hinge joint is basically the joint which allows only one type of movement, like the elbow joint, right? So the elbow joint, this is the humerus and these are the radius and the ulna, right? That's in the forearm. So the joint between the humerus and the radius and the ulna will be known as the hinge joint. So the answer for this will be 2 will match to 4. So the option where 2 matches to 4 is 174. The answer is 1. Next, moving on to the human body, which of the following is anatomically correct? So collarbones, they have 3 pairs, which is technically wrong because we have only one pair of collarbone. That is 2 collarbones or clavicles, which is 1 here, 2 here. The second is salivary gland, which is 1 pair, which is also wrong because we have 3 pairs of salivary glands. Cranial nerves, there are 10, no, there are 12 cranial nerves. And floating ribs, there are 2 pairs of floating ribs, right? So the floating ribs are 2 pairs of floating ribs. So the answer for this is 4th option. Moving on to 176. For the 176 question, the answer is 4, which is this one. This is just a direct NCERT line. That is a type of nucleus shape present in each type of WBC, which we need to remember. So go through the explanation, please. For 177 question, okay, albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, and minerals. Match the following type question. This one is for list 1 with the functions present in list 2. Okay, so we know that albumin and globulin are both proteins, type of proteins. Then we have minerals, and then we have fibrinogen. Fibrinogen does what? Fibrinogen helps in clotting of blood, right? So it goes to C, matches with 4, which is the third option only. So the answer for 177, we can see by elimination of option is the third answer, right? What we can see in the other statements is that A3, which is albumin helps in maintaining osmotic pressure. B1, that globulin helps in defense mechanism. And minerals help in what? Minerals help in maintenance of the blood pressure. Next, moving to 178th question, which is the following statements is incorrect. The sympathetic neural system controls and coordinates organs which are under voluntary control. No, it helps to control organs which are under involuntary control, right? So the answer for 178th question is the first one, which is incorrect. Next is 179. Which one of the following is regarded as a nervous tissue? Neurons are known as nervous tissue. We all know this. This is the most basic question that can be asked. But since the paper design in NEET is helped or designed for overall the type of students who appear, the average criteria and intelligence level of each student. So the question level will also be easy to moderate to difficult. Hence, some questions are direct NCERT lines, which we also make mistakes while we are solving the paper due to the amount of stress that is on us. So please make sure that you don't lose marks over these easy questions. Moving on to the next question, 180. During depolarization, the outer surface of the membrane is what? So the answer is 1, that is negatively charged. Okay. So what we can remember this as, we need to throw all negativity outside and take all positivity inside, right? So all negativity outside. So the negative charges are outside during depolarization. In 181, the number of spinal nerves in a human is what? The answer for this question is answer number 4, which is there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves in a human. How do we know there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves? So there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves because they are named and numbered according to the vertebra with which they are associated. So they have 8 pairs of cervical, 12 pairs of thoracic, 5 pairs of lumbar, 5 pairs of sacral, and 1 pair of coccygeal. So we see 8 plus 12 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1, which comes up to 31 pairs. Moving on to the next question. Oxytocin is known as the milk ejection hormone, is the assertion. The reasoning is oxytocin acts on smooth muscles of uterus and stimulates its contraction. So, yes, is oxytocin the milk ejection hormone? Yes. So the assertion is correct. The reasoning for the assertion is what? It acts on the smooth muscles and stimulates its contraction. So the answer for this statement will be answer number 2, which is assertion is also correct. Reasoning is also correct, but the reasoning is not the explanation for the assertion. Right. Now, because oxytocin will act on the smooth muscles, but that doesn't mean that that will help in the release of or ejection of milk, right? No. So the reason is that it acts on the smooth muscles. When does it act on the smooth muscles? Why does it act on the smooth muscles? Because it helps in the contraction of the uterus and delivering of the baby, right? Moving on to the next question, 183. So oxytocin, testosterone, thyroxine, epinephrine. We have to match the hormone with the type of hormone, that is its chemical nature. Okay. So for 183, the answer is 1, which is oxytocin is a peptide, testosterone is a steroid, thyroxine is iodothyronine, and epinephrine is an amino acid derivative. For more explanation, for more detail, please refer to the explanation mentioned here, as all of these are just NCERT statements. There's no concept that I can explain for them. Now we can see for 184th question, FSH is secreted by what? So we have two basically hormones, which are FSH and LH. Okay. So these are released by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, both of them. And they're known as gonadotropins. Moving on to 185, underproduction of adrenal cortex hormone causes what? So underproduction of the hormones of adrenal cortex will cause defects of carbohydrate metabolism and weakness and fatigue, and cause a disease known as Addison's disease. So we can remember it as Addison is a girl who has less production of hormones of adrenal cortex. Addison, adrenal cortex reduction, and that is how we can remember the answer to this. As usually it's made, it's a question that where people make a lot of mistakes, right? So we can say Addison, adrenal cortex reduction. Okay, so now let's start with section D for the zoology part, right? So moving on to 186th question, which is again an assertion and reasoning type of question. We are talking about echinoderms here. The answer for this question is option number 2. Option number 2 is assertion is also correct, reasoning is also correct, but they both are not related. So let's see the option, let's see the question how it goes. Echinoderms are all marine? Yes. Do they have organ system level of organization? Yes. Echinoderms have an endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles? Yes. But is that a relation of why they are marine? No. So they both, assertion and reasoning, do not have any relation between each other. Moving on to 187th question. 187th question, the answer is option number 2, which is Rana tigrina. So we have to check which belongs to the correct class phylum and 2 of its characters. So Rana tigrina stands for what? Rana tigrina is a frog, right? So since frogs, the body temperature of frogs varies, right, along with the temperature of the environment. So they are known as poikilotherms, which is basically their body temperature changes along with the surroundings. Whereas human beings are not poikilotherms, right? So their body temperature remains constant no matter what the environmental temperature. They're poikilotherms. They have a protective coloration, and that is known as mimicry, right? So the answer is 2. Moving to 188, metagenesis refers to what? Okay. So the answer is the 4th option, which is alteration of generation between sexual and asexual phases of an organism. This is known as metagenesis. This can be seen in obelia, polyps, and they reproduce. So basically, what happens is that in obelia, polyps reproduce asexually and medusa reproduce sexually. Now in question number 189. Earthworms are known as friends of farm. So reasoning, then assertion, and the reason for the same is earthworms make burrows in the soil. They make it porous, which aids in soil aeration and facilitates the penetration of developing plant roots. Do you think the statement is correct? So yes, assertion is correct. The reasoning is also correct, and the reasoning is the correct explanation for the assertion mentioned. Moving to 190th question, which of the following is incorrect about earthworms? So excretory organs occur as segmentally arranged coiled tubules called nephridia. Okay, so the answer for this is answer number 2, which is earthworms is asexual. No earthworm is asexual. Earthworms are sexual, right? So the answer is option number 2. As we know this, how? Because earthworms we know are bisexual hermaphrodite, as both testes and ovaries are present in the same individual. In question number 191, in male cockroaches, sperms are stored in which part of the reproductive system? Okay, so we need to say that seminal vesicles and numerous small sacs present on the ventral surface of the anterior part of the ejaculatory duct which stores sperms. So the seminal vesicles are the organs which store sperms in male cockroaches. Moving to question number 192. Match the following proteins with their functions. Okay, so let's see. We have antibodies. We know antibodies help us to fight against infectious, right? So that is 192. The answer will for C option will be 1. C1. So that is the first and the fourth option. Collagen. What does collagen do? Collagen helps to form intercellular ground substance, which is the answer for D will be 3, which is this. So therefore the answer is option number 1, which is the wrong statement in question number 193. So we have the statement that is the first option being uracil is a pyrimidine, sucrose is a disaccharide, glycine is a sulfur-containing amino acid, cellulose is a polysaccharide. Okay, so the answer is 2, which is glycine is a sulfur-containing amino acid. No, glycine is a neutral amino acid. What is a sulfur-containing amino acid? Cysteine and methionine. For 194, apoenzyme is what? Apoenzyme is the protein part of the holoenzyme. So the answer is that is 1, protein. For 195, osteoporosis, an age-related disease of the skeletal system, may occur due to what? Okay, so anything related to bones and due to the increased age occurs in females occurs due to decreased level of estrogen. So what happens? Basically, as age increases, the level of estrogen in the body decreases. Estrogen has a function to maintain the bone mineral density. But since level of estrogen has itself decreased, the bone mineral density will also decrease. So estrogen is directly proportional to density of the bone. Estrogen decreases, density of the bone decreases, which will lead to osteoporosis. In osteoporosis, the bone becomes brittle and they are liable to fractures. So generalized osteoporosis is common in elderly and in women after menopause. Hence making the answer as option number 3. For 196th question, select the correct statement for disorders of muscles. So failure of neuromuscular transmission myasthenia gravis can prevent normal swallowing. Is that true? Yes, it's true. So the answer for 196 is option number 1. Since neuromuscular in myasthenia gravis, the functioning of muscles is interrupted, right? So the muscles that help in swallowing will not occur. Hence, if neuromuscular transmission does not occur well in myasthenia gravis, the muscles that help in swallowing will not be able to help in swallowing. Accumulation of urea and creatinine causes their inflammation. No, this statement is wrong. An overdose of vitamin D causes osteoporosis. No. Decrease in vitamin D causes osteoporosis. Rapid contraction of skeletal muscles causes muscular dystrophy. That this statement is wrong as well. So muscular dystrophy is not just cause, it is an inborn abnormality of the muscles associated with dysfunction, ultimately deterioration. For 197th question, the answer is option number 1. Also, please go to the values mentioned in the question as per the options. You can also just go through the explanation mentioned over here once. Okay. Moving to the next question. The next question is 198th question. For the 198th question, we have the answer as option number 3. So the question goes like, lungs are made of air-filled sacs, the alveoli. They do not collapse even after forceful expiration. Because of what? So as we said, the answer for 198 should, okay, the answer here is mentioned incorrectly. The answer should be option number 4, which is residual volume. What is residual volume? Residual volume is the amount of uh, air that remains in the lungs, okay, even after forceful expiration, right? Since some amount of air is always present inside it, even after forceful expiration, the lungs do not collapse. So the answer is residual volume. The answer for 199th question, blood enters the heart because of muscles of the what? Because of muscles of the atrium relax, right? So the upper chambers, if this is the heart, the upper chambers of the heart are known as the atrium, the lower chambers of the heart are known as ventricles. Whenever blood enters the heart, the atrium, that is the upper chambers, will relax to allow the blood to enter the heart. And the atrium will then contract to release the blood into the ventricles and pump the blood into the ventricles. So at the time of atrial contraction, there'll be ventricular relaxation, which allows the ventricles to accept the blood, which is being pumped by the atrium. So for initially for atrium to receive the blood, they need to be relaxed. That is answer number 2. For the last question, that's the 200th question. Okay, it's a numerical type question. So the question states, what would be the cardiac output of a person having 72 beats per minute heart rate and a stroke volume of 50 milliliter? So what is cardiac output? Cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped by the heart, right? Uh, Amount of blood pumped by the heart, and it is defined as the product of the heart rate and the stroke volume. So the heart rate here is 72 beats per minute and the stroke volume is 50. So when we multiply 72 into 50, we'll get the answer. The answer in this case will be 3600 milliliter is the cardiac output. So we've discussed all the questions, and we've completed with zoology section of part test 2. We'll soon come up with the part test 3, part test 4, and then moving on to the full test series. So make sure you're staying in touch with MEMONEET for all your NEET preparations, and hoping that at the end of this course, after examination, you're the one that comes up to us with a seat secured. Thank you so much.